If you feel like your shots are missing something, then this might be it, because today we're talking about filters. Specifically about neutral density filters, polarizing filters, and black diffusion filters. Sounds confusing? No worries, because this is the last video you will need to actually get them. So let's break them down in real human language. I'm going to show you each filters, what they do, and when to use them. First, let's kick it off with ND filters, which are like the sunglasses for your lens. What do? They cut down the light so that you can shoot at a wider aperture or slower shutter speeds, even if you are in a bright daylight. Basically, allowing you to keep your camera settings and control the light before it even gets into the camera. With them, you can keep your motion natural and depth of field shallow, which are two markers of that cinematic look. Now on to when to use them. First of all, when doing long exposure photography or videography on a bright day, or when shooting a video outdoors at f2.8 or lower, especially if you want that blurry background without turning your footage into a blown out mess. There are a few types of them that you have to keep in mind. First of all, the fixed ND filters, which cut down a specific amount of light, and you will find them in different versions depending on the stops. And then you have the variable ND filters, which are the ones that I recommend. These ones twist to adjust the strength, so they are more versatile, but watch for cross patterns on wide lenses. That can be a tell also that the filter that you're using is a bit on the cheap side. And here's a beginner tip. If you shoot video and hate techie math, just remember this. If your footage is too bright and your shutter speed is locked up, slap on an ND filter. Now let's move on to the polarizing filters, which are the anti-glare and color pop wizard. So what do? They cut through reflections on glass or water, they boost contrast in sky and greens, and they make colors richer and cleaner. And when would you use them? First of all, when shooting landscapes or city scenes with windows to avoid those reflections, and also when shooting anything outdoors where glare is killing your vibe. And this is how they work. You rotate the filter to adjust the effect, depending on how much glare do you actually want, and it's basically an anti-annoyance dial for sunlight. And here's a beginner tip for these ones. Think of a polarizer as the Instagram saturation filter, but physical and smarter. There is less chance for you to look like a deep-fried meme from the mid-2010s. And last but not least, let's talk about the black diffusion, which are the mood creator but not a blur machine. So what do? They soften the highlights, especially in skin tones, and adds bloom to light sources without losing the detail. These filters give a nostalgic or dream-like feel without making it look like a TikTok beauty filter or anything like that. And when would you use them? Well, depends on you, but they are typically used in portraits, romantic scenes, or moody product shots. Music videos or short films are also an option if you're shooting video. And here you need to keep in mind that they come in different strengths. Usually 1/8, 1/4, and 1/2. I would say start small. For me, 1/4 is a safe bet. 1/2 can feel too dreamy for general purposes, so watch out for that. But now the question is, can these filters be combined, or is that too much? And the answer is absolutely. Many people actually stack them. So here are a few combinations. If you combine an ND filter with a black diffusion filter, you will get a cinematic outdoor shot, for talking heads for example. If you combine a polarizer plus an ND filter, you will get the look for a dreamy travel vlog without blown out beaches or landscapes. And if you combine a black diffusion filter with a polarizer, then you will get mood and color control for example, music videos. But watch out for something, because stacking means that you will have a thicker front glass, and that means that the end of your lens and the actual end of the filter will have a big separation, and that can create vignetting. What I would recommend is to get the biggest size filter you can. I have mine in 82mm, then buy step-up rings for your lenses, so you don't have to buy a separate filter for each of the lenses that you have, and that will cost you a lot of money. And another tip that connects to this one is that instead of using multiple step-up rings, just buy one step-up ring that fits your lens directly to 82mm, or the size of your filter. Otherwise, you will end up with what's commonly called the cone of shame, which is a bigger than usual filter that can actually make vignetting even worse. So what should beginners actually buy? Here's the no BS setup. Get a good variable ND filter. Look for a true to color variable ND filter that starts with 2 to 5 stops for photography or 6 to 9 stops for video. A simple circular polarizer and 1/4 black diffusion filter. This is a great starter for dreamy shots without getting too indie film school. And of course, you will have to get the step-up rings per number of lenses that you have. That way you can just leave them in, and whenever you need to add a filter, it will already be set up for you. One thing I didn't account when I did this is that I also had to buy 82mm lens caps, and I had to buy a lot of them. They are quite cheap, but keep in mind. I've added links to the ones that I use in the description of this video. Okay, but let's look at it from a different angle. What if I don't want to spend hundreds on filters? Well, here's the good news. You don't have to. You can hack it instead. For example, you can use sunglasses in front of your lens to replace the ND filter, which is the sunglasses for your lens. This is ghetto, but it works in a pinch. You can use a Ziploc bag or the Vaseline trick on a UV filter for diffusion, which is actually an old Hollywood hack. But if you want consistent quality and to stop faking it in post, it's better to gear up properly. So now let's recap. ND filters give you color exposure and keep that creamy blur in daylight. Polarizers kill glare, make skies and water and greens pop. And black diffusion filters add cinematic softness and mood. If you want to elevate your shots instantly, start with filters. You don't necessarily have to go for a lens, LUT pack, presets, etc. Filters. Because cinematic isn't necessarily owning expensive gear, it's about knowing how to bend light to your will. And the next step, after knowing which filters to add to your toolbox, is to go out and shoot. And to help you shoot and publish content efficiently, I've created a guide with 3 levels of content planning. This guide can help whether you're just starting or you already have some experience publishing online. You can check it in the video right here. Thanks, and see you in the next one.